Greetings everyone. Today I'm going to give a presentation on BTech final project titled as Agricultural Monitoring System using Machine Learning and IoT under the supervision of Professor Kandarpa Kumar Sarma. Here is the outline of the presentation that I'm going to demonstrate. Let me start with the introduction of the presentation. Now, India is considered as one of the nations where agriculture and its allied sectors are a major employment sources. Thus, to ensure the proper growth of plants and their productivity, an efficient monitoring system is required in today's world due to all the climatic changes. This project is focused on the main areas where the farmers today are facing problems for their maximum cultivation and thus providing them an integrated system. The proposed model presents a smart agricultural system which is divided into the following phases, which are the crop vegetation information, plant disease detection, as well as integrated sensor modules. Here are some technical theoretical concepts that are introduced in this project. First is the sensor fusion and Internet of Things. The multi-sensor fusion system provides the collective information of sensory data, and the IoT will enable network connectivity between the system and the end user. The multi-sensor system will also trigger the necessary actuators that would be installed inside the system. Second is the crop vegetation estimation. Now, the concept of crop vegetation estimation using NDVI, which is the normalized difference vegetation index, is basically introduced. Now, to determine the density of a green area, we need the wavelengths of the visible and near infrared electromagnetic spectrum that are reflected by the plants in the presence of sunlight. The green pigment which is present in the plants, which is known as the chlorophyll, absorbs the visible light in the spectrum of zero point 0.4 to zero point 0.7 micrometer and reflects the near infrared light in the range of zero point 0.7 to 0.11 micrometer. Now the NDVI is then calculated as NIR minus red divided by NIR plus red, in which NIR refers to the near infrared value which is reflected by the plants, and the red band is considered as one of the visible bands. Now, depending upon the NDVI value, the particular crop can be divided into three segments as healthy, unhealthy, or dead. Now, the table gives a value of different type of plants and its NDVI corresponding. Next, we introduce the concept of image segmentation. Now, image segmentation is required as the captured images needs to be segmented into different clusters to select the particular region of interest. Now here image segmentation using k-means clustering is used. K-means clustering is one of the most popular unsupervised machine learning algorithm. This algorithm basically aggregates all the similar pixel values, which are the data points, and maps to a particular cluster. This mapping is based on the concept of Euclidean distance of each of the pixel, which is calculated to their nearest centroid pixel. This centroid pixel is selected at random and this algorithm basically iterates through unless and until the centroid value doesn't change or we define a particular number of iteration values. Second is the concept of classification using support vector machine. Now, support vector machine is again a supervised machine learning algorithm which is used for both classification as well as regression problems. Here, each data point is plotted as a point in an n-dimensional space with the value of each feature being the value of a particular coordinate. The classification is then performed by finding the hyperplane which difference between these two classes. Then we introduce the concept of classification using convolutional neural network. Now, convolutional neural network is a class of deep neural network which is commonly used for analyzing visual images. Convolutional neural networks use very little pre-processing as compared to other image classification algorithms. This means that the network can learn the filters by itself, in which the traditional algorithms will need to be pre-engineered by the following expertise. This independence from human effort is a major advantage in the field of artificial intelligence. A convolutional neural network consists of an input layer as well as an output layer, as well as multiple hidden layers. These hidden layers of convolutional neural networks typically consist of a series of convolutional layers. The activation function is commonly a ReLU layer and is subsequently followed by additional convolutions such as pooling layers, fully connected layers, and normalization layers. Next, we introduce the literature review that we have performed. Here we have considered four of the papers. In the first paper, the author basically explains how to use different sensor modules such as temperature, humidity, etc. interfaced with Raspberry Pi for measuring different environmental parameters. Secondly, we second in the second paper we have seen that the author explains how to detect the plant disease with basic image segmentation techniques and classification algorithms. In the third paper, the author explains how they have used the visible as well as the infrared wavelengths to detect different seasonal development of plants. In the fourth paper, the author explains the detection of apple leaf diseases based on the design of a deep convolutional neural network of AlexNet architecture. Next comes the motivation of this paper. The motivation for this paper comes from the fact that there are no end solutions provided to the farmers about the process of their cultivation in agriculture. Mostly they rely on their previous experience as well as very little knowledge of effective measures to take in case of any problems for productivity. The current models which are introduced are basically provide the experimental results and do not provide complete real-time information. The problem formulation for this presentation is divided into the six points. First is to collect the data of ground parameters which affecting the growth of the crop. Second is to design a system for sensor data collection and formulating actions based on the received data. Third is to create a database of common leaf diseases affecting the agricultural crops. Fourth is to design an automated machine learning solution for predicting the disease based on the dataset. Fifth is to create a solution for estimating the agricultural land vegetation. And finally, to incorporate network communication between the system and the cloud server for proper transmitting effective information to the end users, which is in the case the farmers. Now comes the work methodology and the approach. Now, this integrated system is basically divided into three subsystems consisting of sensor integration system, disease detection system, as well as vegetation estimation system. The first system, which is the sensor integration system, consists of different sensor modules that are used to take raw data and actuate other modules and transfer the data with the cloud, which communicates through the gateway. Second is the disease detection system, which basically consists of two different models for disease diagnosis and is compared between the two. One is the traditional ML algorithm and the other is using neural network. Third is vegetation estimation. Now, vegetation estimation system provides the distribution of vegetation in a particular area computed using the NDVI concept. Here is the overall general diagram of the whole integrated system. Now, this integrated system consists of two processors. First is the AVR 328P at MEL, which is used by the Arduino Uno. Now, Arduino Uno basically takes the sensor data which are provided by these three sensors. First is the temperature, second is the soil moisture, third is the pH. And this sensor gives the data to the Arduino Uno, and this data is then being transferred to the Raspberry Pi SoC using a serial communication protocol, which is the UART. The sensor data are also used for the actuator that is being installed by by this first system, which in this case is the water pump. Now, water pump is used to regulate the flow of water to the crops, which could enable effective use in the amount of water. Secondly, now comes the two cameras that are being installed in the Raspberry Pi. Both the cameras give the information about the vegetation information as well as the disease detection system. After processing all these systems, the Raspberry Pi is acting as the gateway to provide this information to a cloud database, which in this case is the Google Firebase. Now, from the Google Firebase, the information can be accessed through the user mobile applications that we have designed. Here comes the work methodology of the project. Now, first methodology for sensor integration system includes the sensor input, which is then fed to the microcontroller. The microcontroller sends this sensor input data to the gateway, as well as it processes the information to trigger the actuator that is being installed by the system. Second is the methodology for vegetation estimation. Now, for vegetation estimation, we first extract the red band as well as the near infrared bands from the satellite images, and then we calculate the NDVI using the NDVI formula. After that, we plot the image of the NDVI image of that area, and then finally we calculate the total vegetation based upon that image. Next, we see the methodology for disease detection using neural network. Now, for that we take a dataset collection, and then we use the dataset augmentation, which basically refers to the transformations that is performed on the image dataset in order to increase the number of data points. After that, we select the CNN model, and then we train the model, and based upon that we perform the classification. Next comes to the methodology for disease detection using the ML algorithms. For that, we first load the image, and then we perform some image pre-processing techniques as for example contrast enhancement, reshaping, changing the color plane. After that, we perform the image segmentation. Now, image segmentation is done using the k-means clustering. After selecting the region of interest from the segmented and the clustered image, we calculate the features of the disease, and thus we get the different statistical parameters based on, for example, mean, entropy, standard deviation, etc. We calculate from the gray level co-occurrence matrix. After we calculate all the features, we provide the features to the feature classification, which is the SVM classifier, which already has the labeled dataset, and then depending upon the feature classification, we get the feature class prediction. Now comes the work we have done for this project. First is a sensor integrated system. Now, for this system, for this system we have shown here the hardware integration, which we have used for the sensor modules such as temperature and soil moisture, and based upon the threshold value we have also installed an actuator, which is the water pump, to trigger it as depending upon the sensor data. We have performed all this in the environment of Arduino, as well as Tinkercad for simulation, as well as Blink app. Here is the overall circuit diagram for the sensor system using Tinkercad simulation. Here you can see that we have connected all the sensors to the microcontroller, as well as the actuator. Now here, this potentiometer is acting as a soil moisture sensor, and thus depending upon the potentiometer value, we can basically trigger the water pump. This is the first initial state of the system where all the sensors are basically working, and it's providing all the necessary data to the microcontroller. Now, after the soil moisture level has reached a certain threshold value, we basically pump on the water pump, and it is indicated with this LED light blinking, and the temperature and this soil moisture are providing the raw data to the microcontroller. Then comes the vegetation estimation system. Now, for this, we have taken the images of red as well as near infrared bands of a particular area from a satellite image directory known as Landsat 8. Now, for analyzing the Landsat 8 images, the Python package rasteria is used. Now, here are the two images of the red band and the near infrared band of a particular area, which is taken from the Landsat 8 satellite image directory. Now from these two images, we basically calculate the NDVI values of each pixel from this given formula, and then depending upon the threshold value of these five classes, we we calculate the percentage of the distribution of vegetation. Then comes the disease detection using machine learning models. Now for this, we first pre-process the image, which is performed using contrast enhancement. Then we perform k-means clustering for image segmentation, and then after selecting the region of interest, we calculate all the features which are then fed to the support vector machine. Now these are the two different images which contains a disease affected part as well as some of the healthy affected part, which is required, which is then segmented using the k-means clustering. For this programming environment, we have used Jupyter Notebook. After that, we have seen that performing k-means clustering basically divides both the images into three different region of interest. We can see from the three images that in these three images, this part of image gives us the region of interest, as this demonstrates the disease part, and in these three images, the first image is basically demonstrating the disease affected part, and thus we select the respective photos. Now we have also developed a graphical user interface for the for the detection system in MATLAB, so that we have introduced different buttons to do all these different type of clustering and classification to get a very user friendly interface. After that, we have used the disease detection using neural networks. Now for neural network, we have basically used tomato leaf disease dataset, which comprises of around 9627 images belonging to five different classes. The dataset is then divided into training dataset, testing dataset, and as well as validation dataset into different subfolders. Now for this neural network, we have selected VGG16 CNN architecture because it is considered as one of the best vision model architecture. The 16 in VGG16 basically refers to the number of weight layers in the network. This network basically uses only three cross three convolutional layers stacked on top of each other in increasing depth, and uses the same padding and max pull layer of 2 cross 2 filters. We can see after this model training image that after 7 epochs, the model is trained. So we have used 7 epochs for training this model. Next, the time taken for this training of model is shown here is very less, as because we have already converted the image dataset into NumPy array before training the model. Now this training package is we have taken from Keras and TensorFlow Python package, and so there it is easier to train and it is faster to train the model if we already convert the image dataset into NumPy array. So even if this time is less, the conversion time for the image to convert into a NumPy array has taken around 2 hours. So approximately training the whole model took around 2 hours to perform these 7 epochs. Now comes the experimental results. Now, for the sensor integrated system, we have illustrated the sensor data values through serial monitor as well as blink app. Here you can see we have shown the different sensor values using the blink app application, as well as the sensor value, which is here the temperature value is being displayed in the serial monitor. After the data has been displayed and the data is used by the actuator, the data is communicated through the gateway to the cloud database, from which it is accessed through the user mobile application. Next, we perform the from the vegetation estimation. We have seen that after calculating the NDVI values from the red band and the NIR band, we have plotted the NDVI image. Now, from this NDVI image, we calculate the percentage of different classes of vegetation based on table 1. So here we can see the percentage distribution of different vegetation, for example, healthy vegetation, normal vegetation, soil, water, and others. From here we can see that this image comprises of around 39% of normal vegetation, around 45% of soil, and others as well. Next comes the disease detection using the ML algorithms. Now, since we have already calculated we have taken the region of interest from the three different clustered images, and then after we select the region of interest, we take the statistical parameters calculated from the selected disease. And here are, you can see the 13 features that are being calculated from the gray level co-occurrence matrix. Now these 13 features are then passed to the SVM classifier, and the predicted output gives the required label. Accuracy of the SVM classifier is then computed. You can see that the disease is being correctly displayed for both the images using the SVM classifier, and then we have also calculated the accuracy of the linear kernel of the SVM classifier, which comes up to be around 93.54%. Next is the disease detection using the neural networks. Now, after the training of the model, we have seen that the model has reached an accuracy of 95.93% after 7 epochs. Now, here is the model accuracy of both the training and the validation data. We can see that the training and validation data reaches approximately 95% after 7 epochs, and then the model loss also, we can see it reaches almost around 0.1% after 7 epochs. The training and the validation data is basically divided in the ratio of 80 to 20. And after the model has been properly trained, we select a random image from the testing dataset, and then we use it for the model prediction. We can see that this is one of the test images that is provided for the model prediction. When we provide this, we can see that the output gives us the percentage match of this test image into different percentage on based on different labels. Now we can see that the percentage match for each of the label can be expressed, and the ones which gives the maximum label is being classified as the image. Here we can see that the spider mites matches and matches about a percentage of 99.98%, which is actually the original result, as we have taken this image from spider mites dataset itself. So the disease prediction is correctly performed by the neural network. After this, we have also introduced the mobile application for our project. Now all this information that are being computed from the system, it is being sent to the cloud so that it can be accessed through a mobile application. Now this mobile application not only gives the all the parameters that we have calculated from the previous systems, it also acts as a bridge between the retailer and the seller to provide the farmer an ecosystem for transparent sale of their agricultural products. Here the farmer can register for selling their crops as well as getting the information for their particular crop using the system. Here are some of the screenshots of the applications. As you can see, here we have shown the login page. Next, we have shown all this forecast where all the parameters that we have just calculated using different system models, and the results are being shown, which are being transferred basically to the Google Firebase and then taken from the Google Firebase into this Android application. Next images also shows that how this application also acts as a bridge between selling the products to the particular retailer without the use of a middleman. Conclusion and for future direction. Now, in this work, we have submitted an integrated model which is developed for different agricultural parameters required for healthy crop cultivation. The system also shows data for different sensor parameters, disease affecting the crop cultivation, as well as field vegetation measurement. The disease detection is compared between the support vector machine classification as well as neural network classification model. The accuracy is then calculated as 93.54% for SVM model as well as 95.93% for neural network model. So we can see that the both accuracy is approximately the same, whereas the neural network gives a more better accuracy. So the selection of the model and the type of algorithm that will be used, it depends upon the type of data sets and also the embedded tools which will be required for designing the whole system will be a crucial point when designing the whole system. Next is the design of the algorithms will also depend upon the orientation of the camera modules which are being installed to capture the images. So finally, an integrated system for all the vital information is required can be built with a portable device, and network interfaces can also be um, enabled using the Internet of Things. Here is the Gantt chart of our project. Here are some of the reference papers that we have used for this project. Thank you.